If you or someone you know is struggling with suicide, depression, self-harm, or addiction, please know you are not alone. Help is always easy to find and readily available. Just visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org for resources. You can also call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-TALK. Or text the word HELP to 741-741. There is hope out there. All you have to do is find the strength to reach for it.
You know, as we come to the end of this phase of our life, we find ourselves trying to remember the good times and trying to forget the bad times. And we find ourselves thinking about the future. We start to worry, thinking, what am I going to do? Where am I going to be in 10 years? But I say to you, hey, look at me. Please, don't worry so much. Because in the end, none of us have very long on this earth. Life is fleeting. And if you're ever distressed, cast your eyes to the summer sky when the stars are strung across the velvety night, and when a shooting star streaks through the blackness, turning night into day. Make a wish. Think of me. And make your life spectacular. I know I did.
You are listening to Wilhelm, a film-centric podcast for film lovers of all kinds. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Wilhelm. I am your host, Ben Beck, and on this episode of the show, we're doing something different. Before I dive into what's different about this episode, for starters, there's two main things that are different. For starters, I don't have one guest this episode. I have three. So let's bring these guys in right away. You know that if you listen to the podcast, you know them already. They've all been guests on the podcast. They've all been great guests on the podcast, and they'll be future guests on the podcast. But I brought them in specifically for this one because they were available. That's how it was simply put. So please welcome back to Wilhelm, Mark Kirkman, Alex Balish, and Jerry Gomez. Guys, how you doing?
Pretty good.
That was the one time it was okay to talk over each other.
What?
Exactly. So the other thing that's going to be different about this episode is there's no top five. There's no top three. There's probably not even going to be a lot of movie talk, to be completely honest with you. This is just a casual conversation. And the reason behind that is this week marked a milestone that I kind of remember personally every year. And that is because August 11th of this year marked the 7th anniversary of the death of Robin Williams. So anybody who knows me personally and knows me well enough knows two major things about me. The first is Back to the Future is my holy trilogy. That's without question.
Yes.
And the second is I am a massive Robin Williams fan. Always have been my entire life and probably always will be. So I figured I was originally going to do this episode by myself. I was going to just do a solo tribute to Robin and be done with it. But I figure, he meant so much to so many people. It made a lot of sense to bring in other people. So guys, you guys are my guests for this conversation about Robin.
I'm glad to be here.
So we're just going to talk casually. We're going to talk about some of our favorite things we've heard about Robin, what kind of an impact it had on us when we heard about his death, the kind of things that were behind it when we found out, that it was indeed suicide and such. But I want to go, before we dive into the darkness of everything, I want to go around and I want to see if you guys, I'm putting you on the spot because we didn't prep for this at all. So anything I bring to you guys, we're throwing it at the wall and seeing if it sticks. And it's really going to be on instinct. And well, it will be for the first person, and the other two guys get to think about it while the first guy's going. Your earliest memory of Robin Williams. I want to start with Alex.
Okay. My earliest memory is Mork and Mindy. Okay. Just him being a crazy guy. And his famous nanu nanu and all the stuff that goes along with Mork and Mindy. And that was really my kind of introduction to him. From there, a lot of other things happened. And I'm not going to lie, you had a lot to do with it too, because it's not so much that you love an actor or someone's work. Because of your passion, it really made me do a deep dive back into a lot of his stuff that I wouldn't do before. And it kind of makes you feel good.
Oh, well, that means a lot. It really does. Jerry, how about you? What's like your earliest recollection of anything of Robin?
Mork and Mindy as well. Okay. Watching that when I was a kid, one of the things I watched every week when it was on. And when he started doing movies, some of the early, some of the ones from the 80s, I think it was.
Had like World According to Garp.
Yeah, that was the first movie I saw him in. That was where I saw some dramatic drama from him. And throughout the years, like when he did some like Good Will Hunting was a good one. That one just kind of made me cry at points in that. And when he did his villain roles, like in Insomnia and 1 Hour Photo. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the range he had. Yeah.
Yeah. He definitely, had an incredible range, and it's such a, it like to watch the evolution. We'll talk about it a little bit, but the evolution of his acting is something that like I'm so mesmerized by and enthralled by. But before we talk about stuff like that, what about you, Mark? Was it Mork and Mindy for you as well, or was it something else?
I grew up on Happy Days, and obviously Mork was introduced on Happy Days. But honestly, in 1974, I was only 2. But before Mork and Mindy came on, I actually remember the episode that he showed up on Happy Days.
He was actually on 2 episodes of Happy Days.
Yes, he was. And as soon as Mork from Mork came on in 78, I was like so enamored with this character. And he was such like one of those oddball people. It's like, what is this show? What is this going on? And he just captivated you and entertained you and made you happy.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. And ever since then, every time I saw him in a movie, and even Jerry mentioned it, The World According to Garp, it was adapted from a book, but he played a serious character. I didn't see it until the early 80s, probably I would say about 83, 84. And and then everything else after that, I just fell in love with anything that he has done.
I guess that's the one thing all 4 of us have in common then is Mork and Mindy was our first introduction to Robin. And I mean, for a lot of the world, that was the first introduction to Robin. He was really only doing stand-up comedy before Mork and Mindy until the infamous day that he auditioned for Mork and Mindy by standing on his head on a chair in the office. And Gary Marshall walked in and said, yeah, this is the guy. Like, this is the guy I need. And I obviously I didn't watch Mork and Mindy when it aired because I wasn't born yet, for starters.
That's no excuse.
I know. For any true Robin Williams fan, that's no excuse. I would have found a way, damn it. But no, I discovered Mork and Mindy on Nick at Night. I was a weird kid. Like I'd still to this day am a person they call with an old soul. Like I watched a lot of older television shows. I used to watch as like a 6-7-year-old kid. I was watching The Monkees and Get Smart and Mork and Mindy. So that was when I discovered him. I didn't get into World According to Garp probably until my teenage years because it was a little heavy for a kid.
Yes, think
it is.
It's incredibly heavy for a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, and there is going to be an episode of Wilhelm in the future where we're going to talk about our top 5 favorite Robin Williams movies. And I can tell you right now, that's an impossible task for me. It's going to be one of my toughest episodes of the podcast to do.
It will be because you have to choose like a top 5 of your favorite Robin Williams movies.
Yeah,
and
it's impossible.
That to me is like really hard to do.
I can give you top 5. I can give you like top 5 of his worst movies.
Oh yeah. We all can.
He has them. I mean,
oh yeah.
As incredible of an actor as he is, you can't deny he did some bad movies.
Like License to Wed.
Hey, Krasinski was not that bad.
What I found funny about, and good actors do this, they know when they have awful, rotten eggs.
Yeah.
And they laugh about it. And that's the good actors, they know how to laugh about themselves, and they know, hey, I did it for the money, or it just was a bad movie. It was a bad decision. And that's what I find so fascinating about someone like Robin, who really was a working actor. He didn't stop working until he never stopped.
No, he didn't.
And I think he came at a time where a lot of actors, where cartoons or animation became really popular, so he didn't have to, he was in the booth and people could appreciate him, and he ended up going to so many generations that's why we're even having this conversation.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the whole working actor thing, and this is one of the reasons why I'm glad I'm doing this with other people, because now we can kind of bounce off the conversation and keep the conversation going. When you talk about the working actor, and that's what he was his entire life, like even up to his unfortunate death, that was one of the reasons that kind of led towards his eventual suicide, unfortunately, is the Crazy Ones got canceled. And then he got this medical diagnosis of he didn't know at the time it was Lewy body dementia. He thought it was another diagnosis that he eventually started thinking it was the end of his career. And it led to depression. And then that was what led to that, combined with the Lewy body dementia is what unfortunately caused his death, or him taking his own life, rather. But, we talked about the evolution of his career, and it's so interesting to watch when you really because there's so many movies that he's done, whether they're cameos or comedies or dramas.
But Ben, it's not that he did so many movies. He did so many iconic movies. Yes. And that's the thing. I mean, that's the, you're talking about top 5 or top 10 or even top 20. It's like asking a parent, who's your favorite kid? Exactly. It's the one at the moment. Yeah. And I think that's the thing that just set the great ones are set apart, because you could say a line from 5 or 6 different movies, and it's a great, not only character, but it's a great, movie.
I think Ben could actually quote something and we all would know it. It was Robin.
It's a possibility.
Yes.
But when you look at the span of his filmography, I really don't think there's a genre of film he didn't touch.
Oh, he touched so many, between anime, dramatic, horror, thriller, or
you look at
comedy.
You look at dramatic roles like Good Will Hunting.
August Rush.
Comedy is easy with Mrs. Doubtfire and Good Morning Vietnam. You look at action adventure with Jumanji.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the guy did Shakespeare when he did Hamlet. He did Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet. That was one of the, I mean, I'll be honest with you, like Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet is a amazing movie. If you haven't seen it, it is word for word the book, because Branagh doesn't fool around
with,
I mean, it's a 4-hour long movie. And I remember, like, at the time, this was pre-DVD, it was 4 VHS tapes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, but Robin's in it, so I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
He might only be in it for 10 minutes, but I'm still going to watch it. And then I remember, like, yes, he really is only in it for maybe 10, 15 minutes. But I remember loving Hamlet. And it was because of Robin I even watched it.
You know, to that point, he had that magnet personality. But, you know, one of the things that I just loved, and when I was recently doing this deep dive of Robin Williams, and I was watching the Craig Ferguson show, and I was watching the old Carson shows, and one of the things that I love about him is he made comics laugh.
Yes.
And they knew when they had him on his show, buckle up your seat because we are going on a ride. And I think that is what's so amazing about him. Also, that as comedic as he was, his relationship with Billy Crystal and Whoopi Goldberg was so tight. They knew they couldn't, you know, do a lot of things, but they had comedy and they did comic relief. I still remember giving my $10 to comic relief on HBO. And, you know, I just think that in a time where it was kind of like the last of the let's rally around type of stuff, that was like one of the last telethons that the whole world really kind of got behind. I know we have telethons now, but that was really huge.
It was big. The first 3 comedy centric things that they did. What was it called? I'm forgetting.
Wait, are you talking movies? Are you talking comic relief or
comic relief? There you go.
Well, Alex just mentioned that's what he.
The first 3 comic reliefs were perfect, and you know, Robin was very much in the forefront of that and pushed that. And I remember seeing that on HBO at the time when they came out.
I remember watching them on HBO, and because they were telethons and they had other comedians performing, I just remember being like, okay, Robin, Whoopi, and Billy are so funny. I don't care about the other comics. Can they wrap up their sets so we can get back to the 3 of them?
Exactly.
Because they were so funny.
Yeah. Especially where he goes underneath Whoopi's legs and plays.
Oh, yep. It doesn't work really well on a podcast format because the listeners can't see what we're doing.
Exactly, but you know, mimicking something that looks like a little something, and it does this, and la 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 la.
I mean, there were definitely jokes that were repeated, you know. But like Robin was one of those guys that, like, when I realized that I wanted to kind of, I mean, like, I'll be honest. One of the reasons why I was so devastated by the loss of Robin, and I'm such a big fan of his still to this day. Like, I will say am a big fan. I'll never say was a big fan. Words will never come out of my mouth, is because he is the reason why I wanted to do something in the entertainment business. He's the reason I wanted to make people laugh, because he made me laugh and that made me feel good. So I wanted to give that to other people. And I'm not nearly as funny as he is, but I still enjoy cracking jokes and like
having fun.
Fun.
You know, he made the problem with Robin Williams was, or is,
you want to rephrase that sentence?
The problem, this is the biggest problem. He just makes it so goddamn easy that
he makes it look easy.
I know, and you know it's not. And when you look at some of those interviews, looking back now, you can tell that he still gets the nerves. He still gets all the stuff. It's Robin Williams, so you assume. And that's what's kind of interesting. He's human just like anybody else.
Well, I mean, and the interesting thing about that too, and I'll dive deep into a lot of stuff that I do know about him because I have read books, I've watched the biographies and such. So I do know a lot about him. He was obviously very animated, on whether it was a stand-up comedy act, he was incredibly animated. Or if he was on Carson or doing a talk show, like he was always very animated. It was very hard to keep him in the chair. In the beginning of his career, when he was doing cocaine and such, like he was on drugs very early on in his career. He was an alcoholic very on in his career. He has fully admitted that the reason why he was so animated on stage was because he was coked out. And the reason why he was coked out was because when he first started, and even into his career, when he was doing the HBO specials, like when he performed at the Met, which is an amazing.
I have that. I got that on cassette when it came out.
I have it on vinyl and I have the video. Like it's, of course.
I still have the cassette.
But he has even said, like, the reason why he did the drugs it was so he could be on stage, was because even at that point in his career, he had a fear that they were laughing at him because he was horrible and not because he was funny.
Wow. Oh, I did not know that.
And it took him years to overcome that. But at that point, he had become the person he had become.
It reminds me of
the 90s, I would say.
Howie Mandel. I mean, he's got his intricacies too. Mm-hmm. A lot of these comedians, that's their thing, is that they don't realize what effect they have on people. And it's all positive. It's just, it's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Well, so outside of obviously the movies and the stand-up specials, we've all heard those stories of something he has done for other people, whether it's charity events or just something nice he has done. I'm sure we've all heard those stories.
Yeah.
Outside of the movies, what we'll go around again. What's one of your favorite stories you have heard about Robin, whether it's been confirmed true or not? Because even if it's not true, I still like the idea that it could be, so is there anything that stands out in your mind of a story about Robin that you kind of think of and smile? And I'll start with Jerry this time.
As far, one thing I heard about was, his friendships with other actors. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cause he was a good friend of Christopher Reeve, and, hearing about Christopher Reeve's accident, that was, probably devastating to him as well. But, the story, and I later learned it wasn't true about, the rumor that he had paid for some of Christopher Reeve's medical treatment.
You found out that wasn't true?
That's it. I read that it wasn't true. So whether it is or isn't, it's like, where?
Oh, see, I never looked into whether or not that was true. Mm-hmm. So I'm still going to continue believing that it was.
Yeah, I'm going to continue believing it was as well. But
yeah. Alex, how about you? Anything that kind of sticks out as a favorite story?
I saw an interview with when he was not Ben Affleck, Matt
Damon.
Matt Damon.
Okay.
And Robin Williams was a huge name. That's one of the reasons why it went the way it did. They were trying to pull him in, and I forget how the whole story goes, but the fact that he worked with Matt Damon to make him a better actor. And, when you think of Robin Williams, you don't think of serious actor. You think of, the comedian that he is, but at the same time, he works so well with other actors. And I think that they had a special relationship because of that, and I think that that's kind of an interesting thing when you can get a mentor, and maybe he wasn't a full mentor to Matt Damon, but I just think that that's a really nice thing, because actors do that and people do that in all sorts of walks of life. But the fact that he believed in the movie, he loved the movie, and he did his best in it, and he carried as much as he could in it, and he hit it out of the park.
And he won the Oscar.
Yeah, he only just won the Oscar for it. Yeah. That's all.
I will kind of disagree with you that at that point you didn't look at Robin Williams and see serious actor, because at that point he had already done Dead Poets Society.
Yeah,
he had already done World According to Garp. He had already done What Dreams May Come. I think he was pretty established. The Fisher King. He was already pretty established as a dramatic actor at that point.
Okay.
But just to kind of bounce off your point, one of my favorite things about Good Will Hunting is I heard the behind the scenes of that scene where they're in the therapy and Robin talks about how his wife farted.
Yeah.
And it cracks Matt Damon up. That whole scene was improvised. And Matt broke, and they actually left that in the movie because it worked so well. And Matt's breaking caused Robin to break, and they just left the scene in the movie. And
that's what he was great at.
Yeah.
You know, he was great at going off script. I mean, you could probably tell us more than, you know, every single one of his movies, he probably came off a script 5 or 6 times. In some cases, it might not even have been a script.
Yeah.
What I remember hearing too is when he did Aladdin, a lot of that was improvised.
Oh yeah. The director of Aladdin, the director and producer of Aladdin have come out and said, "Oh, we have hours of Robin because we basically just let him go."
Riff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They riffed.
Yeah. They said they have hours of him from him in studio. But what about you, Mark? Anything that you know of that kind of sticks out in your mind as a favorite story of Robin?
Lisa Jacob, who worked with him in Mrs. Doubtfire, she wasn't doing so well within school during the time of filming, and he wrote her a note for her school saying that he was a bad ingredient to her work studies, and that was the reason why she was and to please excuse her.
That's fantastic. I haven't heard that story. I like that story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. I mean, obviously I've heard a bunch of them. I heard about how, you know, usually anytime he was on a movie production, he would always try and get homeless people to work as grips because he wanted them to have jobs while he was there.
Yeah.
And that actually has been confirmed as true. He really did do that quite a bit. One of my favorite stories, and I have a story about Robin that was told to me by the person who was there. And I'll share that for kind of at the end, because it's one of my favorite stories. But one of my favorite ones I heard about Robin is, and this was from Sharon Osbourne.
Wow.
Sharon was home sick, and Ozzy, and she was a huge fan of Robin's. So when she was at home sick, Ozzy went on tour and he felt bad about leaving Sharon at home. So he actually contacted Robin's people and said, "Hey, would you be willing to record a video of yourself, you know, just wishing Sharon well?" And Robin contacted Ozzy and said, "I'll do you one better. I'll stop by." And he actually went to Ozzy's house to visit Sharon while Ozzy was on tour, went up to her room to pay well wishes to her, and actually got in bed and sat with her and just hung out with her for like 4 hours. And like had her laughing and just wanted to cheer her up and make her feel better. Never met Sharon, never met Ozzy, but just knowing that Sharon was a fan and she was down, he did that.
Aww.
Yeah.
And Sharon told that story on The View shortly after he passed. And I was so moved by that. Like that, I'm like, yeah, that's him.
That's just his personality. Yeah.
You know,
one thing,
go for it.
Yeah. One thing, you've heard me do this already in previous conversations, is that when I say we have three of something, I always say from Aladdin, uno, dos, tres.
Uno, dos, tres. No substitutions, exchanges, or refunds. Aladdin is one of those movies that I can pretty much quote word for word, because I've seen that movie so many times.
All right. With what we're talking about, Robin, what are our top 3 comedic movies that we love?
We're not doing that.
Okay.
I already said we're not doing a top 3 or a top 5 in this episode.
No, but what I find fascinating,
our favorites, I should say.
It's too difficult, and we're going to be covering that in a future episode.
Okay.
What I find really fascinating is the span. I mean, he was always a groundbreaker on different subjects. Like he started out in 1977 doing the Richard Pryor show.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you look at something like The Birdcage. Okay, yes. What is he playing? He's playing, as he likes to say, an older fag, as he liked to say in the movie, right? And he was proud of it. And my point being is, he was always pushing the limits, trying to get people. And who was the Gene Hackman was the protagonist, the ultra right wing person. So he was always trying to make people go out of their comfort, go out of their comfort zone through laughter. I mean, look at when he was Adrian Cronauer. What did he do there? Same thing. I mean, and there's a half a dozen roles, and I know Ben and Mark and Jerry could say something about all of them.
He pushed that limit too, even with his dramatic work too. With if you look in August Rush or Insomnia or 24-hour photo,
1 hour photo,
1 hour photo,
23 hours too many.
Yeah, too many. But regardless, he was able to push that limit and to show what he can do as a creative person. But I think in his daily living, he wanted everybody to laugh. But he always kept everybody close to him. Look at Christopher Reeve. He had Christopher Reeve be the godfather of his own son at one point.
Yeah, well, I mean, that just showed like the family aspects of what he thought of his friends as well.
Yeah,
like his friends, he thought of his friends as family.
Yeah.
I mean, I do the same thing. I know many of us do the same exact thing. There was another path I was gonna go on to, and I kind of got distracted, but that's all right. I mean, that's part of the point of this, is just to kind of riff.
I marked it all up. Sorry.
No, yeah, you did kind of throw it off when you were like, how about we name our top? Nope, we're not doing it.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. Sorry.
Even though I said it at the beginning of the episode, Mark, we're not doing a top 3.
I did a mark. So
Wait.
Yeah.
You didn't take over the podcast yet, so you're okay.
No, that's Alex's.
That's my job.
That's Alex. Yeah,
that'll be coming up later.
That's Alex.
And Jerry will be the sense of purpose.
No. You all three have your own zones. Alex takes over, Mark forgets things, and Jerry does puns. It's
exactly.
We all have our points, and it's totally fine. That's why I figured it's gonna be interesting to have all 4 of us on one episode. But so good.
What I find funny, Ben, is we probably all have lines from different movies that we use a lot.
Oh yeah,
and I know you probably have more than anybody, Ben. But it's just like I always use "Now's the time for cow." I use that all the time. And what's 3 up and 3 down? It's the end of an inning. I mean, these are things that are in our lexicon. And I mean, we're not going to get into specifics of movies, but I mean, I like Patch Adams. It's not my favorite, but I mean, it's got its moments, which I love. But it's like that with all of his movies. Some you love, some you don't. But there's always something in every movie that you can probably quote or remember, and that's what makes him so special.
Well, it's like even at one point, like I'll still use it. I haven't used it in a while, but every once in a while, if I'm outside and I get blinded by the sun for some reason, and the moment I can start seeing again, I always quote Batty Coda from Fern Gully. And I'm like, I can see, it's a miracle. But I mean, like when we talk about the people that he has touched with his art and the span of that's the span of that filmography, we've talked about the dramas and we've talked about the family comedy. There really isn't a generation he hasn't been able that hasn't seen him or hasn't been able to see him. Like, he hasn't always done adult movies so that only adults can see who he is, or kids that are watching in secret. You've got the Night at the Museum movies, which are for kids, Aladdin, Happy Feet. Like, you've got the adult dramas, you've got and they didn't come until later in his career. And when you realize the issues that he had in his life, you kind of understand why they didn't come until later. But you've got those really dark movies, like 1 Hour Photo is a dark movie. You have
Bicentennial Man actually was more of a family film, but based upon life.
Yes, and way to step on my conversation of dark movies by bringing up one that absolutely isn't, Mark. I appreciate that.
Sorry.
You pulled another mark there, but it's all right.
Do you have any good puns, Jerry?
No.
Okay.
No. But one thing,
it's an albatross.
Yeah, it's an albatross, which Ben did not know about.
Yes, Jerry actually introduced me to a Robin Williams project I had not seen before. And now it is a line that we use regularly within our group.
Yes.
Is that as the albatross line. And I still thank you for that, Jerry, for introducing me to something that he did that I didn't know about, because it's a rare thing. But one of the other things we didn't talk about when it came to like helping people and stuff is the USO. Like that was something else that Robin did constantly, was traveling to entertain the troops, and not every comedian did that.
No.
You had Robin Williams, Bob Hope, Lewis Black. There are a number of other comedians that have traveled with the USO, but it was something that like he didn't question. Like it was, he got invited, he went. And some of the clips that you can find online of that are hysterical.
But he didn't do Vietnam. You know why? Bob Hope only likes a big room.
God. That was almost a Jerry joke.
But it's true. It's a great line.
And I do remember what I was going to bring up earlier now, because I talked about if you look online for clips. We were talking about you were talking about the Richard Pryor show and how he started on that and such.
Right.
If you have not seen this clip, I highly recommend you look for it. It's on. You can definitely find it on YouTube, because I have watched it hundreds of times. There is a clip of when Robin Williams was a guest on the Carol Channing show.
Oh my gosh.
It is, and you can see it in the clip. It is the first time they ever redid a sketch, because it's a funeral scene where Robin comes in as somebody who knew Carol Burnett. Sorry, let me correct myself. The Carol Burnett show. He plays this guy that comes in and plays a friend of the deceased to Carol Burnett's, who's the widow of the deceased. And he does this whole character role, and it's all improvised and everything. And then they go to commercial, and when they come back, Carol addresses the audience and says, like, we've never done this before, but Robin wants to do it again. And when they do it again, he's a completely different character.
That's great. I have to watch that.
It's so anybody who's listening, if you haven't watched it, just go on YouTube and YouTube Carol Burnett, Robin Williams, because
it's pretty much almost like the spontaneity episode between him and Billy Crystal in the Friends episode.
Mm-hmm. Another improvised moment with
that didn't have a clue as to what they were talking about, and they're like, "What? How do we deal with this?"
Because it wasn't scripted at all.
It wasn't at all.
What I find amazing is when you talk about the Friends and that, and then the thing that I find really fascinating is there's not too many people that were on Whose Line Is It Anyways?
Yes,
that stole the show.
That is still one of the best episodes of that series.
And he just, him and Wayne Brady just were, Wayne Brady was that I know the other characters, other actors are great, and they all are. It's just that he stole the show. And I think it was by accident that he even went on there, right, Ben?
It wasn't an accident. He was filming 1 hour photo. He was on a soundstage right there in 1 hour in Burbank, filming 1 hour photo, and they asked him like, "Hey, would you want to come over?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." Because if you watch that episode, he has that same short blonde haircut,
right,
that he has in 1 hour photo, because he was filming at the same time. And I've spoken to Ryan Stiles about that episode. And Ryan had nothing but nice things to say about Robin. He said he was in there, he was having a blast. Like he was finding everything everybody else was doing was just as funny as what they thought he was doing. Like he just loved performing.
And they all were having a ball.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And that's what I said about before. He just makes the actors around him better.
It's another essential watch. Like outside of movies, I said that the Carol Burnett clip, the Whose Line Is It Anyway episode with him. The other thing I really recommend to people, just to get a really deep insight into him, is there's an episode that he did of Inside the Actor's Studio.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's a double episode. It's about an hour and a half. Because those episodes were usually only 42, 45 minutes. And this one's like a full hour and a half episode.
Yep.
And like the insight you get into him when he does that episode, all the way up until the end when he answers the students' questions and such. It's such a great watch.
It is.
That was a great show.
Yeah, it was a good, awesome show.
I feel bad, Jerry, because I know you haven't really been saying much, but I don't know. I feel like we might be talking over you a lot.
No, you're good.
Okay. All right. Just making sure.
Shut up, Jerry. You just said too much.
So before, obviously, we got to talk a little bit about the darker end of things and, you know, his unfortunate passing. I remember I was absolutely devastated when I got the news of his passing because, again, this is a man I had looked at. I'm not somebody who idolizes people. I don't look at people as heroes. Robin was the exception to that for me. He was the reason I did a lot of the things I did in my life. And at the time I was also, and I still do to this day, I've never held this back. I've never not shared this with people. I'm somebody who has suffered from depression in the past. I've suffered from anxiety from things I've done in the past and just things that have happened to me. So I always looked at Robin because I knew he was somebody who had suffered from that. And then he was somebody I had always imagined overcame those demons. And then when it comes out that he passed on, it's by his own hand. He committed suicide because of depression. That really hit me. And that really affected me hard because it made me realize, well, if he can't get past those demons, what if I can't get past those demons? You know, so that's really a good reason. I know I'm getting kind of deep on this, but and kind of revealing, but I'm an open book, so I don't really care.
You make a good point, Ben, because, you know, when you had posted something about his anniversary of his death, I had posted something as well, and a couple of people had commented that same thing. Not in so many words. It was like one of the few times I actually cared about an actor who died. And I think because he was so ingrained in our lives that he didn't feel like an actor, or he felt kind of part of our personal life.
I honestly felt like I lost a parent. I won't lie about that. Like I was inconsolable, honestly, for about 2 or 3 days. Like I called out of work because I wasn't going to be able to concentrate. I had people, and this is when I realized how much of an impact he really had on my life. Because to me, I never really sat back and thought about it, like how much he had an impact on my life. And then when he died, I had 2 or 3 people that I hadn't spoken to in decades, like in 10, 15, 20 years, reach out to me to make sure I was okay. And that was when I finally calmed down and I kind of started thinking about that. I'm like, wow, like I haven't talked to these people in years. And even then, this is one thing they knew about me, was how much he was a part of my life. So I honestly felt like I lost a parent. And because that's kind of how I looked at him a little bit. I don't come from the best family upbringing. I come from a broken home. And, you know, sometimes you kind of find comfort in people like that when that happens.
Yeah. I understand it completely.
You know, so, but how did it affect you guys when you heard the news? Like, we'll just go around again with that. And I'm kind of passing the buck right now because I'm starting to get a little emotional about it. And I want to keep talking about it. But Jerry, what about
Jerry,
you?
go ahead.
How did you?
Affect you? When I was when I heard about it, I had been listening to the radio, you know, and I was painting my was repainting my living room with a friend of mine who was doing the ceiling because I'm not going to get up there, but and I have a vaulted ceiling, but when I heard about it, it was just like one of those things that just makes you stop in your tracks and just say, you know, and say like, holy crap, you know, and you don't.
I remember reading it and thinking, please let this be a hoax. Please let this be a hoax. Please let this be a hoax.
Yeah. And it said he had passed away, but even just passing away, you know, it wasn't determined to be a suicide until later, but just even about hearing him passing away. I can only recall 2 actors that I've ever shed a tear for, and it was him and Leonard Nimoy when he passed away.
Yeah.
And with like Nimoy, it was in February, and I'm sitting out at work on the bench outside crying when it's biting ass cold. But here I'm working, I'm working with a friend, and he's like, what's the problem? And it's like, well, I'm sorry, this is one act, there's very few actors I like that much, and these two are up on my list.
Yeah. There's been a number of actors I've gotten emotional over. Alan Rickman was another one. Kind of, David Bowie, I got a little emotional over, but none of them hit me like Robin. None of them did.
Well, it's just because it was just the length of time you experience. It's like, because this is since I was a kid. And you're absolutely right. Like, watching Mork and Mindy from 5-6 years old, and then having Robin be a part of my life all that time. I didn't discover Alan Rickman until the 80s with Die Hard. I didn't discover Bowie until I really started to appreciate music. But you're right. Robin has been there pretty much my entire life. So that's why it felt like I lost a parent. So what about you, Mark? How was you affected when you found out?
When I found out, I was actually doing an installation at somebody's home, setting up their TV, mounting their TV, doing everything. As soon as I turn on the TV, what's on there? The news. And it was an afternoon installation. I knew nothing. I had a smartphone, but I didn't have news up. But when it came on, it happened within the hour. And that's when it got leaked to the press. And I was like, oh my God, there goes my childhood. Because literally I grew up on Mork and Mindy and Happy Days and remembered him all through with Jumanji, all the movies, and a flood of movies that he had done. And it did affect me in the sense of, I always thought of him as the entertainer, the happy man, and realized, wow, everybody suffers. And I suffer through depression myself at times. It's seasonal and mild depression at that too. And the thing is that this man always put on a face, and it's always the clown to entertain us, or even just the actor to entertain us. And it's between Robin, Freddie Mercury, and Rickman that actually, touch me so much. And they are so enlightening in what they do. And Rickman, he suffered through cancer, Freddie through AIDS, Robin through depression through a disease that he didn't know. And it's so sad. But the thing is that they gave us so much gold and genuine stuff. We could always look back and watch those movies and be happy.
Yep. And that's one of the reasons why I said earlier that I'll never say I was a big fan. I will continue to say I am a big fan, because I watched Patch Adams today. The day that we're recording this, I watched it. I watched Mrs. Doubtfire 2 days ago. I watched Hook 3 days ago. I will never get tired of these movies.
Oh, no.
And it did take me a while before I could go back and watch them. And there are still moments every once in a while where I'm watching a movie. It happened to me with Hook. There are moments where I'll watch a movie and I'll remember that he's gone. Yeah. And I'll get choked up.
Yeah. I feel the same way with Freddie or with Alan Rickman. I watched Galaxy Quest about a week ago.
Such a great movie.
I didn't miss it. Die Hard. And you and I spoke about this on Adrenaline Cinema podcast.
Cheap plug, but way to go.
Exactly.
I was going to let you do it at the end anyway. It's fine.
But regardless, we go to those movies that we love, that we've seen them in.
Yeah.
What was that? the Christmas movie I'm forgetting.
Well, there's which one? Because he did a Merry Frickin' Christmas with Joel McHale.
No, not that one.
Wait, are you talking about a Robin Williams Christmas movie?
No, I'm talking about Rickman.
Okay. I'm like, the only Christmas movie I know he did was a Merry Friggin' Christmas with Joel McHale.
No. I'm talking about Rickman. But regardless, anytime I hear a Queen song, Love Actually, that's it. Thank you. Sorry.
I thought he meant Die Hard.
That's
also a Christmas movie. We already brought that up. Okay. But regardless, I
find at Adrenaline Cinema on episode I don't know what.
Cheap plug and pop by
about to end
Alex.
this podcast right now. I do want to move on though to Alex.
I'm not gonna lie. Not that I didn't feel anything. I did.
I mean, if you didn't get choked up, it's
I'm
totally
just saying,
fine.
No. The way I felt it,
heartless.
I am heartless, and my heart is 3 sizes too small. But I didn't feel it until after. Like, a lot of times actors, tragic things happen, and they still have stuff going on, and then it kind of like lengthens the time that you don't have to think about it. And the longer he's been gone, the more you miss him, kind of thing. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, one of my favorite movies is Hook, because it's such a great take on that story. And he was he took it, and it was such a out of the box thing. It's just a great movie in that sense. And he had Julia Roberts. I mean, there was just all these different things that went on. Tinker Hell, exactly.
Tinker Hell.
But I'm just saying, when you
apparently she was a nightmare to work with.
Was movie. She?
Oh, to wash her feet.
So they've nicknamed her Tinker Hell.
Because they had to wash her feet after every.
She had like an assistant wash her feet after every cake.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alex.
That's fine. But again, like right before that, he did The Fisher King. Real light movie. Ha ha ha.
Yeah,
I'm saying
light movie with not at all full frontal nudity.
Absolutely not. I mean, it's almost as light as The Handmaid's Tale. But my point being is, and then he did a whole bunch of runs of, he did Aladdin and Toys and Mrs. Doubtfire, which again wasn't exact. It was a well, it had its comedic side, but it also had its serious side to it. So I love the fact that he balanced it. And in terms of the original question, it's the more I look back, the sadder I am that he's not going to produce more moments in our lives.
Because it almost makes you wonder what else he could have done.
Absolutely.
What else would we have seen from him?
There was this, there's no big secret, we all love the MCU. We all love all these different types of franchises. And every so often they have, if this was made in the 80s or this was made in a different time, the different actors that would be playing those. And you think of Robin Williams, where could he fit in some of the movies that we've done today?
I already know exactly where he would have fit, and it wouldn't have been in the MCU.
Okay.
Robin Williams was actually originally cast as the Riddler in Batman Forever.
Okay.
Before Jim Carrey. This was actually back when Tim Burton was originally still supposed to be doing the third Batman. Before Joel Schumacher took it over. The original cast was Robin as the Riddler.
That would have been something.
That would have been amazing.
It would have been amazing. Yeah.
And he ended up dropping out because Tim Burton left the project.
Yeah.
He didn't want to work. He didn't like the direction that it was going. The reason why he signed was because of
Tim Burton.
He liked what Burton did with the first two movies.
Right.
So when Tim Burton dropped out of the project and Schumacher took over, Robin left. And it went to Jim Carrey, which I think Jim Carrey did a great job. But I would have loved to have seen a Michael Keaton, Robin Williams, and Billy D. Williams third Batman movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because Billy D. was supposed to return as Harvey Dent as well.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
He was.
Yeah.
That would have been a totally different movie.
Yeah, totally different. But one of the things that, like, to kind of to add on to what you and Alex were saying, Ben, is that one of the things that kind of, saddens me in life is untapped potential. Because we could see, with any actor that died prematurely, or tragically is just what could they have done?
And I honestly think as long as his career was, he still had it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, because every time you thought he could, there was nothing else he could do, he did it.
He came back. Absolutely.
You know, when you thought that he couldn't, when you thought the drama and comedy was, he did it all, then he did animated. And then once he did animated, he did action adventure with Jumanji. And then he went dark with, you know, like we said, 1 Hour Photo and World's Greatest Dad, which was a dark comedy, which is a really rough movie to watch right now.
Oh yeah.
After his death, because it deals a lot with suicide.
What I find also interesting, I mean, and I have the IMBD,
IMDb.
okay, dyslexia. Okay, get over it.
Hey, I have dyslexia.
All right,
moving on.
My point being is, you know, you look at his start, and this is the thing that I find fascinating about, and I don't use the word lightly because I'm of a certain age as well. The older comics of the 70s and 80s and before that, they really worked their way up.
Yes.
And, you know, yeah, he started out
as a mime.
Well, he started out as a mime, but he also started out with Richard Pryor. Then he did a stint in Laugh-In, which back in the day, those variety shows were huge. And that's how, you know, those half-hour comedies just molded what he was. And when he got to do those bigger roles, that's why I really do believe when you look at the Saturday Night Lives and everything else that he's done, it just makes him such a more versatile actor and such a off-the-cuff comedian that every one of his roles just explodes. Yeah. And like I said to you before, it just makes him everybody wants to be around him and everybody wants to be with him.
I'll share two stories and then we'll kind of wrap this. We'll kind of do some final thoughts and we'll wrap this up. And because there's a couple things I want to recommend people check out and such, but these are two personal stories for me. I remember when Robin was still alive, this is the early 2000s. Robin had not toured in years. Like he had gone on 25 years since he had done a tour.
Yep.
You know, like Live from the Met and stuff were really the last kind of stand-up he did, because once he got involved in movies, he didn't do stand-up anymore.
Yep.
Other than the USO stuff. And I remember I was dating a girl and my birthday was coming up. And my mom told me, hey, I bought you tickets to a show. It's on this date at this theater. Do not go online. Do not look in the papers to see what show it is. I want you to be surprised. I was like, well, then how do I? Oh, no, that's right. She didn't even tell me where it was. She just told me what night it was. And it's like, well, how am I supposed to know where to go? She's like, your girlfriend knows where it is. She has the tickets. She's taking you. But the tickets are for the both of you are from me for your birthday. It's like, all right.
Wow.
Furthest thing from my mind at that point was Robin, because he hadn't toured in decades. So why would I even think that was what it was? And I remember pulling up around the corner on 69th Street in Philadelphia to Tower Theater, and pulling up the Tower Theater and seeing on the big marquee Robin Williams. And I just remember looking at her and I'm like with my jaw on the floor, and she's hysterical because I'm in utter shock. I was like, this isn't real, right? This is a prank. Like, I'm being pranked right now. She's like, no, it's real. I'm like, there's no way. Like, how did I not know he was touring again?
Yeah.
So we're parking and I'm looking at the tickets, and the tickets are row CC is the letters of it. I'm like, okay, so we're probably not sitting that close. It's probably going A through Z and then A, B, B, C, C. That's not how Tower works. We show the usher my tickets, and she's like, right this way. And we're getting closer and closer and closer and closer to the stage. I'm like, this is surreal. Like, I don't get how this is happening. Row CC was the 8th row.
Dang. Wow.
because it went AAA through triple E and then AABBCC through double Z and then A through Z in the back. So I'm like, we're sitting fucking 8th row center for Robin Williams. Like, this is not happening right now. And then I saw the show, and of course the show was phenomenal. And then I got word when I looked into it afterwards, I found out it was him on tour before doing his HBO special live on Broadway. And I was like, I gotta go. Like, I have to go. And I was actually able to get my hand on 2 tickets to live on Broadway. So that HBO special live on Broadway that he taped for HBO, I was in the audience.
Awesome.
Dang.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
And then 5 years later, he did another tour and he came to Tower and I went to that one too. So every tour he did in my life, I went to, which I think is a great accomplishment for me. So I actually got to see him perform live 3 times.
It's amazing.
Which is
That's good.
And then the other story I'll share real quick, and then we'll do final thoughts, is I had Greg Proops on my Spotlight podcast, and Greg was actually friends with Robin. So when I had him on the podcast, he was promoting his upcoming appearance at Helium Comedy Club here in Philly. And, you know, Robin came up in conversation, and, you know, he was talking about friends, and I started talking a little bit about how much Robin meant to me. So when I got invited to come to the show at Helium, and he told me, he said, when you get there, hang out. He's like, and we'll talk after the show. I was like, all right. So once the show was over, Greg pulled me aside. He invited me backstage, and he said, hey, he's like, I want to tell you something. He's like, after our conversation, I hung up the phone and I looked at my wife. He's like, and I told my wife, I don't know if I've ever met somebody who's like that. Like, I've never heard the passion like that for Robin come out of anybody else that I've never met before, or that I didn't know that didn't know Robin. He's like, so if you're okay with it, I want to share a story with you that nobody really knows about because it happened within our group of friends. I was like, yes, please. Like, absolutely. So Greg proceeded to tell me a story about how it was Greg's birthday and they went to a restaurant. There was about 10 of them, and they had a long table, and Greg was at one end and Robin was at the other. And then they had 4 people on each side. And one of Greg's friends stood up to do a speech to Greg. And because that person stood up, Robin proceeded to stand up and stand on the chair so that he was taller than that guy. And he acted like a translator. So this guy was giving a speech and Robin was pretending to translate it into another language. And it had not just their table laughing, but the entire room of the restaurant's attention and everybody laughing. And I won't lie, I got really choked up at that story.
I would be too.
And I actually told Greg, like, I hugged Greg after that. I was like, you have no idea. I'm actually starting to get a little choked up now. I was like, you have no idea what that means to me, that you shared a story that nobody else knows other than just the people that were there. I was like, you have no idea what that means. And I connected with Greg because of that over Robin. And this was after his passing.
Yeah.
So that was such a great moment. And something else I'll never forget. Final thoughts. And then I'm going to mention a couple of things I want people to recommend, but we'll go around and we'll just do a last round of final thoughts before we wrap it up. Alex, anything you want to mention before we...
Thanks, Ben. I have to follow that. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's not like it's Adrenaline Theater. I mean, come on. This isn't, Spotlight by Ben Beck. Come on, this is Wilhelm.
So what are you saying? I should have stopped with that?
You should have. I mean, I got to get my tissues. I think this is sponsored by Kleenex. Jesus Christ.
Hold on. It's
All
not
right.
that kind of night, Alex.
All right,
Come on.
but that said, I mean, honestly, those are the moments that, like you said, you cherish, and I think Robin has given us some great moments in our lives or has helped us with moments in our lives. You know, I have a 6-year-old. I'm trying to introduce her to Aladdin and all these other movies that he's done. And you know what? They're timeless.
Yeah.
And that's the gift that he can give everybody, is his gift to, not every movie can be timeless, but he's done not one, not two, but a couple of movies in his career that are just timeless. So to your point, he hasn't passed. He's not in the past. He's in the future as well as the past, and as well as the present as well. So I really want to thank you for letting me come on. I know your other guests couldn't show up, so I was a last-minute replacement.
What are you talking about? There were no other guests for this.
That's
one.
okay, because you know what? I'm anytime I can hijack your podcast, I'm always happy. No, but I mean seriously, that's the thing that I always take from him.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's one of the things that I say anytime I do my tributes online. I always end it with "You still exist," which is a line I kind of modified from God, why am I blanking on What Dreams May Come? Sorry, I don't know why I blanked on that. But it's that one line when he's whispering in her ear, "I still exist." So that's the line I always take, is I always say "You still exist," because you're right, he's timeless. Mark, how about you? Any final thoughts, and kind of keep it under 15 minutes?
Under 15 minutes. Well, honestly, that would be. I have to say, well, he is the comedian that I enjoyed throughout my life, and I still do. He is the dramatic actor still that I see in movies that I cherish and I love. Also, the thrilling movies that he's done as well. And he would always put a smile on my face every time I see him. Every time he's on TV, every time he's on The Crazy Ones, Mork and Mindy, or all these different comedic aspects, Happy Days, but also his dramatic work. And anytime I see anything that is documentaried or anything about helping people, because he's always there making people smile, and he still makes me smile.
Awesome. That's a good way to put it. You kept it under the time limit, which is perfect. Jerry, how about you? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I appreciate him for his just having me experience the entire range of emotion over his body of work, because like when a date and I saw 1 Hour Photo, I walked out of there terrified because I don't scare easily, but it's just one of those things. It was visceral because and another one, when I watched Aladdin, I got the
you walked out of that theater terrified.
No, I got punked by the "made you look" joke, because at the very end,
yeah,
I actually turned around and said "made you look," and I was like, I got caught. So. But just seeing that and know that body of work is going to be out there forever.
Yeah, it's like Alex said, it's timeless.
Mm-hmm. It's timeless.
Yeah. A couple things. If you're really into Robin and if you want to know more about him, there are 2 documentaries available that I highly recommend. Both of them. One of them is called Robin Williams Come Inside My Mind. It was a HBO documentary. Yes. That is absolutely fantastic. It came out in 2018, so a couple years after his passing. It dives more into his life than his death, but it does cover his death towards the end, obviously. The other one came out in 2020. It came out last year. It's called Robin's Wish. This is the one that actually dives deeper into the neurodegenerative issues that he had. It dives more into the Lewy body dementia that he suffered from. So if you want to know more about the actual physical aspects that led to his death, Robin's Wish is the one to watch. I highly recommend them both. And then the only other thing I'll recommend too is there is a fantastic book just called Robin, and it's by Dave Itzkoff. It's a pretty lengthy book too. It's about 550 pages, I think. But it is pretty much the only authorized biography of Robin. And it covers everything from start to finish. But it is a fantastic book. It was also a New York Times bestseller, so I recommend that as well. Cheap plugs, gentlemen. I will let you plug anything that you want to plug right now, whether it's a podcast you are on or a podcast that you listen to. And we'll start with Jerry.
Well, I have been a guest on all three of your podcasts. So yeah, more so Mark than anybody else, because Mark and I share a love of all the movies that we do on Adrenaline.
Yes.
Yeah. And Ben, I was with you on your car chase films.
Yes, you are.
Which was fun.
And you'll be coming back to talk Star Trek and some other stuff as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And Alex, we did 8 Men Out a few weeks ago.
And we're going to get that edited as soon as I can get my house elves to edit. Hopefully by the time this is aired.
Yeah.
No, because this is going up pretty quick.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Hopefully by Sunday, if things go well, you should be up with a whole bunch of other good content coming up.
Like I can tell you pretty much right now, at the time this first posts, we'll have just finished recording about 2 or 3 hours before. So
I figured. I know you're pretty quick. I know you're very quick, and I'm just trying to, keep.
He's very good at it.
It's a quick turnaround. But Alex, why don't you go ahead and plug your show whenever it decides to post?
This is the problem with my show. You keep having me on as a guest, and I keep getting the bug to want to do more shows. I have a sports show, sports movie show, Field to Screen. We talk about sports movies. Last one that was out, I believe, was Draft Day. We've got Rocky 2. We've got coming up. We've got 8 Men Out coming up. We've got Bull Durham. So we've got a bunch of stuff coming up. It's just we're going to get to them. And like I said, I want to thank you for also letting me be a guest on the show. We did Disney villains.
Yep.
And I don't know what we have slated for, but I know when it happens.
You'll be back.
I'll just have to take over the damn podcast and we'll be good to go.
You did it during the Disney villain, so why the hell not?
Exactly. Oh, and by the way, there's one other podcast. It's called Adrenaline Cinema.
God.
It's on the Pyrocore Entertainment Network. It's a very big deal. So if you can listen to it, you can, and also Panels to Pixels. It's a really small one. So take your time and listen to that. That's
Mark,
it.
anything to say?
Yeah, I think Alex already plugged me, but yeah, I'm on Panels to Pixels podcast. That you could find that here on the Next Level Network or Next Level Online Network.
Nope, you still got it wrong, but keep going. It's fine. Next Level Podcast Network.
Okay, the Next Level Podcast Network.
You were closer when you just said Next Level Network. That works too.
I know. And
I love it.
On top of that, Steve and I are going to be, we already covered it. You should hear it within the next few days, where we covered What If, which had Captain Carter, which is the first episode. Jerry and I, that episode for Adrenaline Cinema Podcast, it's on Pyrocore Entertainment Network. That could be found within the next day or two as well. So we covered Planet of the Apes, and we had a good time talking about that. So check that out if you can. So
awesome. And I will say, on behalf of both of you guys and Jerry as well, Field to Screen, Panels to Pixels, Adrenaline Cinema, all can be found wherever podcasts are available. So all you got to do is search iTunes, Spotify, wherever, and you can find it, just like you can this podcast, as well as my other podcast, The Spotlight with Ben Beck, which finally came back after a year hiatus, which I just released my last episode with my great friend, John Wesley Shipp, who played the Flash. I have upcoming episodes with Mark Christopher Lawrence coming up. That's going to be posting sometime in the next week. I'm working on some other guests like David Duchovny, Jeremy Piven, Orlando Jones. I've got some great guests I'm working on right now. So you can look for that as where podcasts.
I do want to say one other thing, Ben, and I want to thank you, both you and Mark, because I know we have our little community of podcasters or whatever, and during COVID, you know, more people have started podcasting, and some people have stopped and some people have kind of kept going, and it really was because of you two that a lot of people have started. But not only that, you've really done such a great job of paying it forward. And that wraps it back to Robin Williams, where it comes back to paying it forward by helping anybody who wants to get started in podcasting. You two have really done a great job, and I know you've helped me both tremendously, and I know you've helped a lot of people. And you know, it's not always time that you can say thank you, where people can actually hear it. And you know, for those listeners out there that, if they know Ben, he loves the three things that he loves, and this is one of them, which is Robin Williams and podcasting. And same thing with Mark. If he doesn't love adrenaline podcast, cinema, you know, they both love doing it. And I just want to thank you for all the stuff you've done for me and the rest of our little group.
I appreciate that, Alex. I mean,
same here. Yeah, thank you.
So just to wrap things up, obviously, I encourage you guys to check out Wilhelm. Follow Wilhelm on social media, facebook.com/the Wilhelm podcast, Instagram and Twitter @the Wilhelm pod. If you want to be a guest, or, you know, of a topic you want to hear discussed, you can always reach out to me on any of those platforms, or as well as email me directly at the Wilhelm podcast @gmail.com. Ordinarily, I don't request feedback from things, but I'm going to change that a little bit, because just like, you know, Jerry and Mark and Alex shared their thoughts on Robin, if you're a listener of this podcast, I would love for you guys to share yours as well. So whether it be some of your favorite movies, some of your favorite moments, what his life, his death meant to you, please feel free to let me know. I welcome it. You can comment on the Facebook page about that, message me on the Facebook page, or send me an email directly. Again, facebook.com/the Wilhelm pod, Wilhelm podcast, or the Wilhelm podcast @gmail.com. Lastly, I just want to personally thank you guys for coming on. I know this was last minute, because as I said, I was originally going to do this myself, but again, I felt it would have been more meaningful to get other people's opinions as well, rather than just somebody listen to me gush on about Robin for a half hour. So I know it was last minute, but this episode obviously was very important to me. So I'm thankful that you guys were the ones to join me for it. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for having me on.
So, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Wilhelm. We got some cool episodes coming up. We're going to talk about war movies. We're going to talk about Westerns, Alfred Hitchcock, deep dive into Bad Times at the El Royale, and so much more. But until next time, we'll see you guys on the next Wilhelm. Take care.